there that can be grabbed too. As they come through the decon line, they're being evacuated to the hospital.
Roger that.
Okay?
Okay.
Make it happen.
It became the largest full-scale Homeland Security exercise in the nation in 2010, utilizing zero local tax dollars, limited state-funded Homeland Security grants. The five-county alliance, known as the Western Piedmont Regional Emergency Management Task Force, was selected to test the ability to cooperate and respond with multiple agencies in a full-scale terrorism and man-made disaster event. Major funding from FEMA provided millions of federal dollars that had a positive impact on the region. To fully understand the task force, you need to go back not that many years ago when the concept of such a group was born. During an awards competition at the 2003 South Carolina Association of Counties Conference, the emergency managers of Abbeville, Anderson, Oconee, and Pickens counties saw several individual county presentations. It was there these county emergency managers realized that an individual county's weaknesses could be compensated for by a neighbor's strength. Putting aside personal egos, these emergency leaders and county leaders came together to increase the strength and capacities for all the residents of their then four-county block. As a result of this initial effort, the Western Piedmont Regional Emergency Management Task Force was born. In time, Greenwood County joined this alliance. At a disaster summit held at Clemson University, the project took on an unexpected direction. Talks with other South Carolina counties outside of the five-member task force, along with federal and state agencies, put the possibility of even a larger scale exercise on the map. Several of the emergency managers had had the opportunity to observe a U.S. Army Reserve Red Dragon training exercise, which was held in Wisconsin. Red Dragon is the name of an annual training exercise that provides assistance from the federal government using military assets when local resources have been maximized or exhausted.
And that's what made this training event so valuable, because we actually deployed like we would in a real event.
Basically, those troops were able to exercise their chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear reconnaissance mission in support of civil authorities.
It proved our ability to work with many other agencies, including the military. In planning sessions, scenarios were developed that would test not just the first responders, such as law enforcement, fire departments, EMS, and the hazardous materials teams, but also the intelligence gathering capabilities of state and federal agencies. The task force reached out well beyond their five counties and included significant participation from many other counties in the upstate of South Carolina.
This exercise did a great service to this county for getting us together to work together as far as that internally. But the bigger thing that it did for us is that it brought external assets into the county from both the region and outside of the region that we need to work with.
Every participating agency came away from this experience with a newfound appreciation for cooperation and working together. This exercise gave the opportunity for all agencies not just to learn about each other, but from each other. As the task force has worked together these past years, it has also grown larger than originally anticipated.
Needed to grow to that level, and needed to grow to that level because by doing that, we truly had an opportunity to overtask ourselves. And then the real life incidents that took place at the same time, the train derailments and Pickens and everything else. So we were truly tasked. If there's ever anything of any kind of magnitude like that in our area, by doing this exercise, we can feel comfortable that we're able to truly overcome.
Never before in our state has anyone endeavored to take on such a project as this. Economic realities dictate we must work together, not just now, but in the future.
We're not trying to be different as much as we're trying to be alike so that we can have interchangeable key components to be able to do extended operations in our region. Because we realize in the economic downturn that we are now, we've got to be better than we've ever been because our resources are limited.
And that's been one of the key components of the task force since its inception, the ability to share resources and personnel in a highly cost-efficient manner.
What we can do for each other when it overlaps is something that you cannot get enough of. Being able to draw on resources on a regional basis and then a statewide basis, and then, of course, from state to state, makes you be able to survive those events in a much better manner.
These past few years have been a time of growing and expanding the capacity of the Western Piedmont Regional Emergency Management Task Force.
You know, we had this concept 5-6 years ago, and it's developed over the years, and we've talked with them, we've had meetings, we've had things, and we've had little small instances where we've worked with one entity or another entity. And by doing this exercise in a large scale, we got to implement just about every piece of the task force.
One of the major accomplishments of this exercise was to utilize cutting-edge technology provided by one of our newest partners, Clemson University.
We're very excited about the partnership between Clemson and our IT staff and the counties and anything we can do to help emergency preparedness. We all know we're in new economic times. I think we're going to have to figure out ways to collaborate maybe we didn't have to think about in the past. Helping folks who have to manage these kind of environments better is very, very exciting to us.
This technology proved to be a major asset in accomplishing the goals of this training exercise.
Clemson University provided the common operating picture, the mapping technology, the events that are occurring during the Red Dragon Palmetto Shield exercise during that exercise.
The primary goal of the Western Piedmont Regional Emergency Management Task Force in doing Operation Palmetto Shield was to set a new standard of cooperation and even an example of what can be done, not just in our region, but also statewide. Reginald Lloyd, director of the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, which oversees all Homeland Security operations in our state, had this to say.
I wish the rest of the state was building on the model that they've created up there. Our relationship with Anderson County and other departments around the state has proven that, I think, in the event of a real catastrophe, everybody's going to fall back on the excellent training that's been provided around the state, the excellent relationships. You know, in the event of something, that's what you're always going to end up falling back on.
The impact of the Palmetto Shield training exercise reached far beyond the borders of South Carolina.
We actually went up to D.C. recently, and we briefed what we did in Anderson County. This has been a great impact, because what everybody around the country is starting to realize is that it doesn't always start from the top. What we've done here in Anderson County and the local exercises we have in the state has now started to reach across and made itself well known throughout the rest of the country.
In its short span of history, the Western Piedmont Regional Emergency Management Task Force has made enormous strides from that early concept of cooperation across county lines to developing a regional approach to disaster management. Already the recipient of 2 Barrett Lattimore Awards in 2006 and 2008, the task force has now brought to South Carolina positive national recognition and a well-earned sense of pride. It proves that we in the Palmetto State can achieve much when we endeavor to toss aside old boundaries and egos and truly work together in a spirit of mutual cooperation. The Western Piedmont Regional Emergency Management Task Force is leading the way, not just in South Carolina, but across the nation.